r/ask Reddit. What are some things you'd only know by growing up poor? How to keep a 7-year-old from knowing she's poor. My mom used to take my brother and I to the soup kitchen every week to volunteer. We must always be kind to those less fortunate, she'd say. Then, after volunteering, "Oh, it's so late and I don't feel like cooking. Let's just eat here while we're here." This speaks volumes to me. When my sister and I were growing up before the age of 10, we were pretty bad off, though we never knew it. Our parents were so good at not cluing us into it that we didn't even know until we were adults. We lived in rural Texas, and a couple times a week, my dad would come in and say to us, "I noticed a lot of people littering on the way home. We should go do our part to keep our community beautiful and clean." So we would go walk up and down the highway picking up cans and glass bottles. We would then take them to the recycling yard where we got to watch the cool machine shoot the cans at the big pile of crushed cans. I later found out we did that because we couldn't afford basic necessities, and we were collecting recyclables, which the yard paid for by the pound at the time, so we could go buy a gallon of milk, eggs, and bread. My parents are my role models now, and I only hope I have been half as good a parent to my kids as my parents were to me. Thank you for sharing your story. I teared up a bit while reading it. Such a good lesson learned. Not only because of the good values your parents taught you guys, but also because you were providing a service to your community. Edit. Thank you for the award, kind stranger. It is my first award ever. So glad to see others agree that this comment is pure wholesomeness. When someone breaks into your house but doesn't take anything. Happened once. Still think it's funny. Poignant. Thief realizes he's not as desperate as the people who live there. The burglar breaks the window, steps inside and looks around. Says to themselves, "Man, I better put $20 here so they can get that window fixed cause it's going to be chilly tonight." You go to bed early to skip a meal. Edit. Thank you guys so much for the gold and silver. I'm having Reddit awards for dinner today. Gold medal. Sleep for dinner. And a deep breath for lunch. Your dad asking you for $20 so he can go to work for the week but he'll pay you back when he gets paid. Yeah, my dad would randomly give me $5 every month or 2 months. Sometimes I saved it up and it always hurt when he needed $20 for gas. I didn't get mad though because it was his money originally. I remember my dad breaking down in tears for the first time that I've seen and asking me for my birthday money so we could eat. I ended up giving it to him. Never got it back but he's made up for it by now. That birthday suck, man. Edit. I'm so very touched by all of your stories. I decided to call my dad and tell him how much I love him and how grateful I am for all the things he's done for me. We had a very heartfelt conversation that I'll remember for a long time. Knowing the cheapest thing on the menu at every restaurant. For when your friend's family invites you out to dinner, even though you're not paying, you're programmed to only select the cheapest thing. My friend's mom said, "You sure like hot dogs. That's all you order no matter where we go to eat." I learned these things because I expected that they'd try to pay for me, and if I lost the "no I'll pay for it" battle, then at least I wouldn't be gouging them. I still hate letting others pay for me though. I feel like a moocher. Edit. Gosh, y'all are so wholesome. If anybody needs a pick-me-up, read the comments below this one. Made me smile. I feel scared that they'll judge if you order anything expensive. This made me tear up and smile. I love libraries. If we're being honest, I teared up writing. Just have been thinking about it a lot lately. IDK about in other states, but in MN they can't shut your power off during the winter because of the danger of someone freezing to death in their house. So that was a good time to try to catch up on some other bills you are way behind on too. They just passed the law in Arizona where it is the other way around starting next summer due to it being 100+ all day and night regularly. Everybody is curious to see how it is going to play out. They passed it because an elderly woman with Alzheimer's depended on her children to pay it for her when they forgot she had no AC for the summer and died consequently. You develop an appreciation for hand-me-down clothes when they come your way. Yes, because they were usually still in style and clean. So much joy going through garbage bags of hand-me-downs and trying stuff on. I remember being so excited getting like 4-5 bags of clothes from an older cousin. Especially an older cousin you viewed as cool. I'm hungry, drink some water. We were probably the best hydrated children at school, Mayo, but I think the thing I appreciate most is the independence I've gained through fixing things to keep them going, or from just not wanting to ask my parents for help when I know they're struggling to edit. Thank you to the kind Redditor for the platinum. I'm comparatively new to Reddit and have never received a medal before, so forgive me if I'm going against protocol. Whoa, I didn't expect this to resonate with so many people, but I've just read through everyone's comments. You're all beautiful, strong, and resourceful people, and you deserve the world. I wish you all the best in breaking free from this destructive cycle. It is possible, and if my best wishes can do anything, then it will be possible for you. It's kind of funny to me that a weight loss tip is to drink a glass of water when you feel hungry, and wait a few minutes before actually eating. A bunch of times, when you feel hungry, you were actually thirsty. Not to ask their parents for stuff. I had someone in college why I didn't ask my parents for something when I was broke and needed help. They were blown away when I said they were in the same situation. And when I was in high school, my dad borrowed money from me. Camping is only fun when you've never had to do it out of necessity. My cheapskate boss told me it was a lifestyle choice. I've worked for a lot of those. One of them actually told me what your generation needs is a good depression, when I had the audacity to ask for a 25-cent raise to keep my pay in line with everyone else's, as I did twice the work. He wanted us to go through a depression so we could appreciate the little we had and not want so much more. It was a food place 2 blocks away from the University of Florida that just printed money and single-handedly kept all 4 other stores of his afloat. He would also quote the Bible constantly and was one of those people who used Christianity whenever it suited him and completely forgot about it whenever he'd have to do something he didn't want to do. But hey, his duck-up sons were way worse than he was. I truly had no idea until I was in my junior year of high school taking child development that Head Start was a program created for children from homes of low income. I simply thought it was a place for me to get a head start as a kid. I still remember my teacher saying verbatim, "No honey, your family was just poor," in front of the whole class. Edit. RIP my inbox. That was rude of that teacher. What hunger really is. I remember waiting for my dad's payday for the grocery shopping trip and being absolutely ravenous when the food got there. I don't remember which day of the week it was, but we'd go on the day that the most free samples were available. Friday for us. At the time it just seemed like a normal thing to do. Looking back, it was the only time we got to try things like the higher end frozen pizzas. I know now how much it hurt my mom not to be able to buy any of the things we got to try. How important ingenuity becomes to eat. Mom could make a bag of potatoes last 2 weeks amongst 5 kids. Her and my dad. Rice, butter, and sugar was a breakfast food. Biscuits lasted days, toasted butter and brown sugar for dinner, etc. I love breakfast rice. Anything shiny on the ground might be a coin. I need to get out of this thread. Can still spot a penny on the sidewalk half a block away. I still remember the time I found a $5 bill in the street as a kid. There's a local fast food chain that at the time that had a special bean burrito, fries and a drink for $1.16. Ate like a queen for days. How to cook with the government surplus cheese. We got so much of that cheese. A few years ago I stopped in a Hostess bread store in a poor neighborhood. I was the only white guy in the store, and while waiting in line, other people started talking about the government cheese, and I said that my family got a lot of it and we liked it. Everyone goes quiet and looked at me. Then someone says, "We thought that was just for black folk." And I said, "No, we got it too because it was for poor people." And then we all started talking about the cheese. I grew up pretty poor, too. Single wide trailer in a swamp in the south. Lots of deer meat and beans. Since we couldn't afford the grocery store, we went without electricity and running water for a little bit because we couldn't afford the connections to the lines. Your example is one of the things that bothers me most about politics here in the US. But it happens in a similar fashion all over the world. Politicians convince poor black people that white people are completely against their success, and convince poor whites that if the government continues programs for the poor, hordes of minorities will continue to abuse those programs. Like Reagan's welfare queen narrative. but for some reason it's conveniently kept quiet that the edited largest number dollars in social welfare programs go to white children and white women. Poor whites vote to cut programs thinking they're not the ones abusing programs, so they should be able to continue to get assistance, but now have a harder process to navigate the system as a result of the load of crap they were sold. I keep hoping one day that poor folks of all races will realize they all have more in common with each other than they have in common with the rich old guys in Washington making their lives harder. If that ever happens, true change could happen in this country. Food stamp paper change. When I was a kid, if you used food stamps they would give back the change in food stamp form. My mom was too proud to publicly use them, so she would make up a reason to leave and I would have to pay using them. I was 11 or so. She did it every time. I had to learn to keep my head up. My mother would send me into the store with $20 one-foot stamps. I would stand at the register and get the 95-cent change for each 5-cent gum. One at a time. They figured out what I was doing and started laughing. But they let me do it. The shame was not nearly as bad as dealing with mama without her methadone. I was 11 too. On the bright side, nothing embarrasses me now. I remember that. Now I know all the stores that let you return food without a receipt for a merch credit. Pizza nights are the best birthday present you could ever ducking get. A whole pizza, ordered exactly how you like it, and you get to have more than one slice. When I was about 10, my older brother was working as some kind of technician and he secretly took me along on a trip to check some equipment in a different city. We had Pizza Hut for dinner 2 nights in a row with the company card and I remember being in absolute heaven. Government cheese. Doing your laundry in a bathtub using only cold water. BC, the gas was shut off. Trying to spend the night at your friend's house. BC, they had food and a warm room. Open bracket. Thanks Nikki. Loving going to school because you could at least eat there. Trips to Goodwill for new clothes. Showers at school because at least 3 water was warm. Being made fun of because you smelled like kerosene. Having lice and no one doing anything about it. Going to school with bruises. BC, your parents took their shitty decisions out on you. I'm so grateful to a handful of people that saw potential in me. I went to college, got a great job, and broke the cycle. Thanks Tom and Tony. Most gas station attendants will not stop a small child from stealing toilet paper from their bathrooms. Who knew? Edit. Thanks for the silver. This isn't something I had to do a lot, but it happened from time to time. My mom took excellent care of me. We just fell a bit short sometimes. I used to work at a gas station. I look the other way for a lot of shit. Everyone is struggling and I don't give a shit if a kid steals a candy bar or gets a free IC. One man didn't have enough money for a lighter, so I said wait till I turn around. Go walk to the door, light the cig, throw the lighter on the ground, and walk out. Years ago when I was an attendant, if I knew or noticed someone having a hard time, I would put money in towards what they were getting, within reason. $10 in gas but your card was declined? I got it. Need a drink but you don't get paid till tomorrow? Don't worry. What's $2? The regulars were aware I'd help them out if need be, and they never took advantage. I'd often be paid back next time they come through on my shift. Or if I was working alone they'd come in and sit with me. Hell, I was working alone one time, and this regular who I helped out a lot, his name was Ray. The gas station was off the highway out in BFE. He stayed till I got out of there at like 12:30 am and took the garbage out for me. Edit. Thanks kind stranger for the silver, red heart card suit, and you/Archangel TFO for the gold. That sometimes your parents sacrifice everything they have, including their sanity just to see you happy, and you only learn later in life the soul-crushing existence of poverty. Then you wonder how they managed to do so much with so little. For reals. I was 30 when I realized what mom meant when she told us kids to go ahead and eat because she ate in the kitchen. Oh, that breaks my heart. Outdated technology. When I started college, one of my professors asked if anyone in our class remembered how you change a channel on the TV before remote controls. I was the only person in the room who remembered turning dials and adjusting rabbit ears despite being one of the youngest students in the class, because my family had a TV from the 70s until 1995. Same sort of thing with computers, phones, etc. If we had it at all, we got something much later than anyone else. After it got cheaper and bought used, I got my first computer in 1999. It had Windows 3.1 and that was what I used until I was able to use my financial aid to get a new PC tower for college. Same. When I was little had no idea my family was abysmally poor till I was maybe 25ish and realized all our kitchen gadgets were from the 20s to 60s. I'm 44 BTW. I thought it was totally normal that appliances would die and you would try to fix them yourself. Didn't think anyone actually hired like fridge repairmen. Don't you just get a used fridge on the cheap from someone else? Don't you spend a couple weeks keeping your milk in a plastic cooler filled with ice till then? How good a butter tortilla is. Ever tried a cinnamon sugar buttered tortilla? If you send a bad check to the utilities company on a Friday you have power for the weekend. And if it gets returned, you still have a week or so until they realize it. Back in the 90s I would deliberately put my bank account into overdraft so I could have a few $100 to meet some needs. It was a strategy. We should write a book on how to be poor. The feeling of not eating for a day or sometimes days. My longest drought was 3 days with no food. Sucks because people make shitty comments about how nice it must be to be so skinny and they have to struggle to keep their weight down. Like, be poor. Go a few days without food and your body just starts to eat itself. I'm thankful I haven't missed a day to eat in 10 years. But I still can't fathom eating 3 meals in one day. I had a friend in college who would wolf down food like nobody's business and was stick thin. I used to make a lot of jokes about it. Looking back I feel bad because I realize the only time he was eating was when I bought him food. You don't want to repeat to grade level not because it's embarrassing or mommy will scold you, but because that's one less year before you can graduate, work and ease the family's financial burden. Agreed. Everyone in my class thinks I'm a nerd for working hard and studying hard, but I want to ease the family's financial burden just like you. It is not an option. It is a necessity. Edit. Sorry it's real I late. My first gold. Thank you kind stranger. Cockroaches are killed by baking soda. Wait, do you just throw baking soda on them and they die? Why did I not know this? Even better. Boric acid, preferably borax. Mix it with peanut butter or syrup and leave it on a Tupperware lid wherever you see them the most. Shit dissolves their skeleton and remains in their body, so even after they return to the best the cycle will continue because roaches are cannibals. Easiest way to get rid of a nest. You'll see results within 2 days. Edit. Holy shit I got silver. So additional pro tips are, don't leave it near pets because they'll die if they consume the boric acid, and these little traps will last you an entire summer. You can live on strawberry powder, Nesquik and water for 3 days. I had the same diet at the worst part of my life. I realized it was ducked up and I had to move on. Man, that was a painful moment. I hope you are better now, colon. My mom could somehow cook 2 chickens on a Sunday and feed 6 people all week. Towards the end it was more just corn chowder cooked in chicken stock, but it was dinner. Also we kept a garden. You didn't work the garden. You didn't eat. Sit down on a summer evening. Better have a bowl in your lap and be shelling, stringing, or shucking something. Feed the hulls to the neighbor's pig because she'll save a ham for us. Us too with the garden. In retrospect, it was a blessing because we grew up eating fresh, healthy produce and fresh laid eggs 7 days a week. My dad lived to age 93 and was eating from his garden right until he died. Other kids got takeaway food and TV dinners and we thought we were missing out by filling up on newly dug new potatoes, fresh shelled peas and sweet baby carrots with a tiny portion of red meat. Any nutritionalist today would applaud that diet. I had pigs and I went dumpster diving to get some tasty treats for them sometimes. I'd feed them a bunch of donuts and other bakery stuff. How to do everything without money. Laundry gets done in the sink. Walking is cheaper than the bus. A shower is cheaper than TP. Torn clothes can be mended. Money isn't everything. Giving when you have extra is the best way to stay afloat in times of need. Thanks for the gold, guys. A shower is cheaper than TP. Wait, I can't imagine this being true. Isn't water pretty expensive if you used it for every time you pooped? What about girls? Shower anytime they pee? Some rentals don't charge you a water bill. The only utilities my current app charges me for is internet and electricity. You have more of a tendency to be generous, I think. I grew up dirt poor with like 2 pieces of clothing to my name, and most of our meals came from the food bank or from donations from the church my parents attended. Still, open bracket, my mom mostly would not hesitate to help someone worse off than us. Also, you learn how to have fun for free. Kid me thought that getting to use the free desktop computers at the library and going to the park were the best things ever. How people who have money treat you. I went to a girls only grammar school as I passed the exams to get in. There were girls whose parents wouldn't allow to come to my house. I felt lonely, worthless and isolated a lot of the time. But I got my PhD in the end. So duck you Mr. and Mrs. Brumhead. American ramen tastes better than Nissin ramen. Yeah, for a treat. Sapporo Ichiban is best. I buy chicken leg quarters, which cost less than lettuce. Hell, they are often cheaper than potatoes. A drumstick, some cabbage, garlic, and green onion, and a bowl of American becomes a great meal. Having to help your single mum earn money by doing odd jobs that involved being embarrassed because you were cleaning the houses of your schoolmates, delivering junk mail to their homes, buying things on the cheap from garage sales that end up being their homes, collecting things people put out for hard rubbish council collection on the street, etc. I had a chair that belonged to an older boy's family, and every couch we have had was off the street. Mum also used to go to open houses when she was dreaming about being able to move to a better place. And one time I discovered I was inside the room of a boy from my grade. Saw his picture on his desk, lol. The other time I was really embarrassed was when I had offered a girl in a younger grade a lift home. We had to do Tetris to fit her in the car. There were 20 plus packs of 36 roll toilet paper Mum had gotten on a massive sale from a factory outlet because they had packaging damage was squashed. We were 3 girls and Mum in the house. We went through a lot of loo roll, lol. I feel this. My mum cleaned houses and would sometimes take me with her. One day she was admitted to hospital for depression, so my dad dropped me off to clean the house she was due to do. I was halfway through when the homeowner, the mother of a wealthier kid from my school, walked in asking what was going on. I told her straight and she was gracious enough to let me finish the job and paid me, but I don't recall us ever going there again. I definitely knew not to ask for things growing up too. Recall staying with my uncle once. He and my aunt had no kids and loved to treat us. One day we were with him at the shop when he checked his lotto and he'd won a nice chunk of cash. Said we could have anything we wanted from the ice cream freezer. Crisps, anything. I made my little bro pick the cheapest ice cream even though I knew it wasn't the one he wanted, as that was just what you did. Sorry little bro for ruining your ice cream fantasy. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.